Season 2, Episode 1. So I kind of wanted to give you guys a little insight. Now that I am in my 30s, I am 3 years into my 30s. So far, it has been a journey. I have experienced a few things that I never thought I would experience. I've learned some things. I'm evolving. I'm still learning. And I felt like this would be a great time, just 3 years in, to kind of give you guys my experience so far to see if that we can relate to each other a little bit more. So let's get into it. So as soon as I was approaching 30, aging becomes a source of stress at first, because you start to realize that you're not as young as you used to be anymore. You won't be forever young, that we actually do and will get older. Although getting older is obviously a huge blessing and one that I, for one, don't take for granted. You can also look at it from different perspectives, because you're looking from your left and to your right and you're like, they have this, my peers are doing this. So what's going on for my life? Being in your 30s, I think age really starts to set in versus when you were in your 20s and teens. It wasn't that important. You actually looked forward to getting older, where I think now in your 30s, you're kind of like, okay, I'm glad I'm getting older, but I kind of want this to go by just a little bit slower, because I'm still trying to get some things together and hopefully get it together before the next 10 years. And then also in the era that we're in right now with social media and how everybody's just aging so quickly, and the way that you're expected to look at a certain age, it can all kind of be very discouraging. But for me, I can honestly say that I'm proud of how I look. To be in my 30s, I'm still healthy. I'm confident. I'm growing wiser. I'm seeing things out of a different lens, and it feels really, really good. I also noticed that friendships really do start to drift. There are plenty of people that I was very close to in my teens, even before that, and in my 20s, that I'm no longer as close to. As you age, you notice that your interests and your levels of maturity are a lot different, and you kind of just drift apart from certain friends. Not necessarily with the fallout, it just kind of happens. I now see that in my 30s, I'm actually making new friends, and I'm loving it. I think having new friends, especially if you're able to make new friends in your 30s, I think that's a blessing. That really is, because you're still open to developing solid friendships with people that at the point of your 30s more than likely will be with you for the rest of your life. I embrace being able to say that I was close with certain people. They were there for a part of my life when I needed them, when they needed me. But now that we've gotten older, our circumstances have changed. Some of them have families and actually get along and are closer to other ones that have families. I don't have a family yet, so I bond more with people who aren't generally at that phase of their lives either. So it's just kind of the points in life that we reach that can kind of say certain friends you may drift apart from versus some people that you actually start to get closer to. I lived in my 20s, but I've grown to understand that in your 30s, decisions do have real consequences. I will admit, in my 20s, I really acted off of impulse, and I made a lot of really quick decisions. When you're in your 20s, you can kind of do that. That's kind of that part of your life where you're still figuring it out, like really from the very beginning, you're figuring it out. So you do make a lot of rash decisions, really solely on your emotion, on how you feel in a moment. But in your 30s, you're a little bit slower to make certain decisions because life moves a bit differently. In my 20s, I made the decision to move to Atlanta, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made that I don't regret. I stayed there for 7 years. I met so many different kind of people. I worked with different people. It was just really one of the highlights of my life. And in my 20s, I actually had an apartment back home, and I kind of just made the rush decision to move to Atlanta. I was willing to just pack up and go. I didn't have a family. Obviously, at the time, there's a lot of things that weren't really holding me back. The only person that could hold me back was me. So I decided that I wanted to pack up and move to Atlanta. Now that I'm in my 30s, it's not as easy to make that decision. Although I still have been blessed not to have any major responsibilities, it's still a lot to think about to make those kind of decisions the older that you get. So in my 30s, I'm really a lot more careful with the decisions that I make, and I really make sure I make step-by-step outline plans of what it is that I want to do to make sure it all makes sense. It gets very, very real when you're in your 30s. You really start to care less what other people think about you. This is one of the best feelings in the entire world. I'm so comfortable being me. I love me, that other people's opinions of me carry no weight at all. In my 20s, I always cared about what people thought about me. I tended to be somewhat more of a people pleaser. I wanted to always be on my best behavior. I wanted people to like me. As you get older, you realize just how unrealistic that is. And just being able to love yourself, make decisions for yourself, you really and truly get to know yourself a whole lot better. How you feel about yourself comes first before what anybody else thinks or feels about you. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but now that I am 3 years into my 30s, I won't lie, I am actually thinking more about family. If having kids is something that is meant for me, if it's something that's in my future, definitely being married. Having kids was never really something that was really big on my list. But surprisingly, as you get older, your perspective on certain things change. I think I'm really looking forward to it. And I think it's something that I really would like to have. If it's meant for me, I will embrace it and with open arms. I think it's one of the best feelings to want to be a mom and to want to care for someone other than yourself. But I have reached a point in my life, and I think it's only because of my 30s. It's definitely something that you think about and start to look forward to. In my 30s, I have become way more confident. In my 20s, a lot of my 20s, especially in my early to mid 20s, I was very insecure. I put myself in a lot of different situations, and a lot of it had to do with my security level and how I felt about myself. So I can honestly say that being in your 30s, if you do the work, because it does take work, I did the work and I feel so much more confident. And it's such a freeing, liberating feeling to be able to be to this point where I'm super confident. I wouldn't go back. I love being in my 30s and being at this stage of confidence. You become very resilient to a lot of life's happenings. I'm not going to lie, this year has been one of the toughest years for me. Not just because of obviously what the world is going through, but just in my personal life, I have experienced quite a few things this year alone. And I've just been through, different changes in friendships and relationships. And it just really makes you realize that life isn't over. There's so much more out there, and there's so much more opportunity. And you learn not to cling to the sadness. You learn to find joy in something. Even in the worst times of your life, you find something to be happy about, something to be grateful for and thankful for. And I can honestly say a lot of my experiences up until this point are really shaping me and molding me into someone that I'm very proud of. And just going through life experiences, I'm not afraid to go through things if I know that it's going to strengthen me in some kind of way. You definitely take your life, your health, your strength, all those things become 10,000 times more important than they did when you're in your teens and 20s. There's so many things in your 20s that you don't think about because mentally you're not really there yet. But that's kind of a part of life. When you're young, you're not supposed to worry about certain things that you worry about when you get older. You have to live life where you are. I'm taking it day by day. I'm just so grateful for where I am. If you are in your 30s, I hope this video is one that you can relate to. If you are in your 20s or younger, continue to have fun. Don't try to grow up before your time. Enjoy where you are. Don't try to rush life. Live right, and you do as you're supposed to. I can guarantee you, you're going to make it there. You're going to be able to experience those things in your 30s and so on. Just enjoy life. If you're young, enjoy being young. Enjoy being where you are. Don't try to see things before they even get there. Just enjoy the moments, enjoy where you are, and learn as much as you can. Well, I hope this video was insightful for you. I hope it was encouraging to you. I hope you took something from it, what have you. Let me know, of course, in the comments below. Give me a big thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next Tuesday right here on Trish Talk Tuesdays. Bye!